Welcome to WiDHiD Game Audio, where I'm teaching how to integrate dynamic sound and music design into your game projects. In this episode, I'm teaching how to integrate an alternative Wwise dynamic dialogue system into Unreal Engine. We'll be going over how to make narration using sequence containers, and also making narration that changes depending on the choices the player makes. Now, I've already covered dynamic dialogue in a previous episode when working with Unity. And the great thing is, all of the things I did in Wwise for that video will be entirely identical to what I use for Unreal Engine. So go ahead, pause this video, grab the link to episode 2 of my Unity series, and watch that until the 13-minute 17-second mark. Then I'll see you right back here to integrate Wwise into your Unreal Engine project. What I did, now things done with the game audio.
Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, good. Listen, I need you to do something very, very important for me. In front of you are these little obstacles that I need you to overcome. I just need you to jump over the hurdle, go under the archway, and go to the green path. Not the red one. That would be bad. If you could do that for me, that would greatly help us over here in corporate. Over and out. Well, glad that hurdle didn't give you any trouble. But I guess archways are still problematic for you. Let's try this another time.
So the first thing you're going to do when loading up your Unreal Engine project is of course make yourself a map. This is mostly the default first-person map, but I also imported in the Industry Props Pack 6 by SilverTM, which is one of Unreal Engine's permanently free collections. Now let's focus on our goal. The player will be dropped into the map, be given a mission statement, then go on his mission. Jump over these boxes, go under this little archway, then preferably pick this green path, but may go on the red path. Before going into the mission parameters, first we need to make sure that our initial narration plays. So I'm going to make a new blueprint, set it as an actor class, and name it BP Narration. I'm going to double click to go into the new blueprint, then head on over to the Event Graph tab. By default, we will have 3 different types of events, but we will only be using event begin play, so you can delete the other 2. So the first part is easy. We're simply going to post our event, but we aren't going to use the standard post event like you normally would. Instead, I'm going to use post and wait for end of event. This will ensure that each narration segment will play until completion before cycling to the next narration segment. Set the AK event to narration SC. I'm going to chain the actor to get player character so that the event will post on the player. Then, I'm going to chain the completed arrow to a delay function. I'm going to leave it at 0.2 so there's only a tiny delay between each narration, but you can change this value to whatever you feel works for your project. Now, I'm going to make a new variable in the My Blueprint tab on the left. I'm going to name it Narration Count and make it into an integer. I'll explain what this does more in a little bit, but just know that this integer is going to be used to ensure that the narration is only posted 5 times for our 5 narration segments, instead of being posted infinitely in a constant loop. Drag the narration count underneath our delay, and select Get Narration Count. Chain the narration count to an integer plus integer function. Leave the bottom value as 1, then drag the narration count to the right of the delay, and this time select Set Narration Count. Now, chain the plus function and the delay to the set narration count. So the narration count starts at 0, and whenever this blueprint runs, it's going to add 1 to it. Almost there. Take the green dot and chain it to an integer less than integer function. Set the bottom value to 5. Then chain both the set variable and the less than function to a branch function. For the branch, if it's true, then bring the white arrow all the way back to post and wait for end of event. Basically, the branch is checking to see if narration count is less than 5, and if it is, then loop back to posting the event again. But when the narration has played 5 times, then the narration count will be equal to 5, thus making the branch false. So really quick, I'm going to set a variable that's going to be useful for us in the next section. I'll call it narration end and set it to a boolean. Then hit this little eyeball toggle so that it makes this variable public and usable by other blueprints. Then I'm going to drag it to the right of our branch and have it set narration end. Hit the checkbox to make sure it's set to true and chain it back to the false end of the branch. For right now, this variable does nothing, but it's basically signifying that our narration is ended. And that's it for that one. Make sure to hit compile on your blueprint and save your project. Don't forget to drag the narration actor into your project. Let's check out our progress so far.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Oh, good. Listen, I need you to do something very, very important for me. In front of you are these little obstacles that I need you to overcome. I just need you to jump over the hurdle, go under the archway, and go to the green path. Not the red one. That would be bad. If you could do that for me, that would greatly help us over here in corporate. Over and out.
Our boss has now given us a mission, so now we need to undertake that mission. Back in Wwise, we gave ourselves 5 different mission endings: doing nothing, going only over the hurdle, going over both the hurdle and the archway, going onto the red path, and finally, going onto the green path. So let's set things up to make that happen. First, we need to set a switch by going over the hurdle. We do that by first making a box trigger. I'm going to drag that into my project and expand it past where my boxes are, and I made it big enough to ensure that our character has to hit it if we're going to go over the boxes. While I'm at it, I'm going to hit Ctrl W to duplicate the box trigger and move it over to our archway as well. Great! Now I'm going to go back to my hurdle trigger, then I'm going to select Blueprint Add Script. I'm going to name it Trigger Hurdle Blueprint, leave it as new subclass, then hit Select. This will make our new blueprint and direct us to the blueprint screen. Just like before, we're going to head over to the event graph, where we're going to find our familiar events. But this time, we're going to keep the event actor begin overlap, which is basically the event that checks for when some kind of object moves into the trigger space. So chain the event to cast to first person character, which is going to be the player. Then also chain the other actor to the first person character's object. Then, chain the cast function to a set switch. Set the switch to hurdle pass, and chain the as first person character to the actor slot. And that's it. I'm going to copy these 3 functions and then move back to my map. We're going to do everything we just did with our hurdle to our archway. Select the box trigger, select Blueprint Add Script, and then change the name to Trigger Archway Blueprint, then hit Select and head back to the event graph. I'm going to paste the 3 events I copied from earlier, then change the switch value to Archway Pass. That was the easy part. Now it gets a little more tricky. Repeat the process of making a box trigger blueprint, only this time you're going to put it over the red path. The event is going to start the exact same way. Keep event actor begin overlap and chain both the white arrow and the blue dot to cast to first person character. Now this is where things change. Remember our narration end variable from our narration blueprint? Well, we don't want the player to land on the red or green paths and get the mission success statement while our narration is still playing. So we're going to have this blueprint check to see if the narration has finished before proceeding with the mission success statement. But how do we access a variable from a different blueprint? Well, first, we're going to chain our cast to get all actors of class. Then, we're going to change the actor class to BP narration. Basically, now our blueprint is looking for something specific in our narration blueprint. Chain the blue box to get a copy. Then, chain that to narration end. This is how our trigger blueprint is going to find the narration end variable. Now, we need to check if this variable is true. Chain the narration end variable to a branch, then chain the get all actors of class to the branch as well. Now, if true, we're going to check one more thing, so chain the true condition to yet another branch. Now, we're going to make another variable, make it a boolean, and call it mission complete. This boolean is functioning exactly like the narration end variable. If the mission is complete, we don't want to hear the mission success or failure statement again later on. This variable ensures it only plays once. Make sure to hit the eyeball button to make the mission complete variable public. So drag the mission complete variable underneath our two branches and have it get mission complete. Chain it to the condition of our second branch. If the condition is false, as in we haven't completed our mission, set the mission complete variable to true. Then we're going to change the set variable function to a set switch. We're going to set the switch value to path red. Then we're going to drag our actor all the way back to our cast to first person character. Finally, we're going to chain our post event. Post the mission event, then just like before, drag the actor back to our cast to first person character. Alright, that was just for our red path, but the blueprint for the green path is nearly identical, so duplicate our red path blueprints and change the red to green. In the event graph, I'm going to simply change our switch value to path green. Then we're going to drag our new trigger into our map and align it with our green path. And that's it. We now properly set all of our states, and both of our paths are set up to post our final mission statement before setting a mission complete variable. That's pretty decently functioning, but there's something that we forgot. The player has infinite time to get to these paths, and there is no way to hear the mission failure statements for not going over the hurdle, archway, or any of the paths. We need a way to fix this. So we're going to do this in our narration blueprint, since we already have it. And thankfully, we're using the exact same tools we use in the path triggers. First things first, after the set narration end function, we're going to have a delay that is set to 5. This will give our players 5 seconds to get to the paths before our mission agent comes back in to scold or congratulate us. Now, we're going to chain that to a get all actors of class, because now we need to check to see if the mission is complete, because if it is, we really don't want to hear the same mission statement again. So set the actor class to trigger red path, and chain the blue box to get a copy. Then chain that to our mission complete variable. Now we're going to do the exact same thing with our green path. Chain the get all actors of class to yet another get all actors of class. Chain it to get a copy, then to the mission complete variable. Now before, I tried having it so that I had 2 instances of the red trigger path blueprint over both the red and green paths, instead of having it separated apart like this. But for whatever reason, it only seemed to register any of this over the red path. If anyone would like to give me some insight on why that is, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyways, chain both of the mission completes to an OR boolean. Then chain that OR boolean and the second get all actors function to a branch function. If mission complete is false, then we're going to post the mission event. Then we're going to chain the actor to a get player character. The last thing to do is set the mission complete variable to true. Alright, that's all of it. Make sure that all of your new blueprints are compiled and save all of your progress. I'm going to demonstrate all of the dialogue we could hear if we do different parts of the mission.
Over and out. Seriously, this was important to us. You failed. Leave and never come back. Over and out. Well, glad that hurdle didn't give you any trouble. I guess archways are still problematic for you. Let's try this another time. Over and out. All we asked is that you go to the green path. Was that too much? Next time, follow the instructions. Over and out. I'm sorry. Corporate just told me that you're colorblind. And I guess it doesn't help that the paths are the exact same shape. You were supposed to go on the path on the left. Over and out. Hey, look at that. You came through. Come and claim your reward when you're ready.
That's it for this video. Check out the Google Doc below for reference material that was used in researching this video. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, compose a comment below or message me at my Twitter @KaraComposer. This video series is driven by community support, so if there's something you would like to see in a future video, whether it be a specific topic or using a platform other than Unreal Engine and Wwise, do not be afraid to ask. Otherwise, I'll see you all next Thursday.